Hey there, welcome to Music Theory Lesson 1 for Beginner Percussion. So what we're going to cover in today's lesson is the 5-line staff. We're going to talk about the treble clef and what it does, and then we're going to talk about our first notes, which are going to be quarter notes. That's a quarter note. Okay, so you see all up and down this page, there's these groups of 5 lines, okay? And it's always going to be 5 except in some very rare circumstances for percussion. Okay, that's called a staff. That's a 5-line staff. If we have more than one, they're called staves. S-T-A-V-E-S. Okay, so this is our 5-line staff, and this is what we write our music on. Okay, and the 5 lines and the 4 spaces in between them, they determine how high or low the note is. Like if you listen to this murmur part, you see that when the note goes up on the page, the sound gets higher, and when it comes down, it gets lower. Okay? So that's how our staff works. The higher up you are, the higher the sound is going to be. The lower on the staff you are, the lower the sound is going to be. Okay? So why do these symbols at the beginning here look different for some of the instruments? Okay? This is called our clef, and this one in particular right here is called the treble clef. This is the one you'll be reading, the treble clef. Treble clef is for instruments that sound high. They have a high pitch or a high range. For example, flute, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, French horn, all these instruments read treble clef. Okay? Your lower instruments, like the low brass family, so trombone, euphonium, tuba, low string instruments like the bass and the cello, those will use bass clef. Okay? So we got our 5-line staff. We got our treble clef. Next, we're going to talk about some quarter notes. Okay? If you look down here on this little keypad, these are all the basic note types we have. Okay? We have whole notes, which is just a hollow circle. And then we have half notes, which is a hollow circle with a line on the side of it. We call that a stem. Okay? Here's our quarter note. Notice the only difference between a half note and a quarter note is that the quarter note is filled in. Okay? So our most basic note is our quarter note here. Okay, so it's going to have a circle and it's going to have a stem coming out of it. Okay. Now, the thing you need to know about stems is the rule. Which direction does the stem face? We want the stems facing toward the middle of the staff. If you look through this, notice that the higher stems, they're pointing down, and the lower stems are pointing up. If it's below the 3rd line or on the 3rd line, the stem is going to go up. If it's above the 3rd line, the stem is going to go down. Okay, and the 3rd line can actually go in either direction. Okay, so this one can go like that, it can go like that, it doesn't matter. Okay, but as soon as it goes above that 3rd line, that stem has to be pointed down. Even all the way up here, the stem still points down. If I come back down and I go below that 3rd line, that stem automatically points up no matter how far I go, even if I go past notes that exist. Okay? So above the 3rd line, make sure they're pointing down. Below the 3rd line, pointing up. And notice that the stem attaches on a different side. There's examples in your workbook. Make sure you're drawing the stem on the correct side of the notes. Okay? And that's it for lesson 1.